Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going deep on something a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the connection between remittances.
Okay.
Like when people send money back home,
Right. Good.
and financial inclusion, especially in developing economies.
Interesting.
So we're using this piece by Kelroy James.
Okay.
He's a real expert in global finance and logistics.
Gotcha.
And get this, his argument is that sending money home, these remittances,
Mm-hmm.
could actually help fight poverty.
Wow.
Kind of wild, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty counterintuitive. I'm interested to hear how this all works.
Me too. So let's break it all down.
Sound good.
So maybe we should start by,
Yeah.
defining what we mean by financial inclusion.
Sure.
It's one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot,
Right.
but it's worth
Yeah.
really understanding what it means.
Absolutely. I think sometimes we can take these terms for granted
Yeah,
and forget what they actually mean for people.
for sure. So when we say financial inclusion, what are we really talking about?
Well, it's about making sure that everyone, no matter where they live or their income,
Mm-hmm.
has access to those basic financial services,
Right.
like having a bank account,
Yeah.
getting a loan if you need it,
Mm-hmm.
or even just having affordable options to send and receive money.
Yeah, those essential things that
Right.
most of us probably take for granted.
Totally.
And the crazy thing is,
Yeah.
something like 2 billion adults around the world
Wow.
are completely cut off from these basic services.
That's a huge number.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, we're talking about big chunks of the population in
Mhm.
Africa, Asia, Latin America,
Yeah.
places where getting ahead financially is
Right.
already hard enough as it is.
Absolutely. And that's where the real impact is.
Right.
Think about it. How do you build a secure future
Yeah.
if you can't even save your money safely? Or if you're stuck in poverty because you can't get a loan to start a business?
Yeah, you're totally trapped.
It's a roadblock for individuals and for whole countries trying to grow.
Okay. So we've got this massive problem.
Mm-hmm.
But where do remittances fit into all of this?
Yeah.
I mean, how can just sending money back home actually change anything?
Right. So that's the big question.
Yeah.
And maybe I should say the trillion-dollar question.
Trillion.
Yeah, because that's how much we're talking about.
Wow.
Trillions of dollars in remittances flow across borders every year.
Okay.
And Kelroy James's argument is that this isn't just about helping families.
Mm-hmm.
It's an opportunity to bring people into the formal financial system,
Okay.
especially those who've never had access before.
So it's like a hidden pathway to financial inclusion?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Think about it this way.
Yeah.
If you're getting money from abroad through, say, Western Union,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to need some way to access that,
Right?
right? That often means you'll need a bank account
Right.
or maybe get a debit card.
Yeah.
And that introduces people to formal banking.
Ah, so it's like this built-in incentive to join the system.
Exactly. And there are some great examples of this playing out.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, Western Union partnered with Yes Bank in India
Okay.
to create savings accounts specifically for rural folks receiving remittances.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're bringing the bank to people.
Wow. Are there other programs like this?
Oh, tons. The World Bank has this program in the Philippines.
Okay.
It's called Remittance P,
Okay.
and it links remittance recipients with loans and savings products
Interesting.
offered by rural banks.
So it's not just about getting the money,
Right.
it's about opening up these new financial possibilities.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting when you think about remittances in small businesses.
Oh, okay.
In a lot of developing countries, getting a business loan is almost impossible.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Traditional banks just won't even consider it.
So how do people get started?
Well, that's where remittances come in.
Okay.
They can be a source of capital,
Right.
letting people bypass those traditional lenders.
So they can start their own businesses.
Exactly. And get this, IFAD,
IFAD.
yeah, the International Fund for Agricultural Development,
Okay.
estimates that 1/3 of all remittances go towards supporting small businesses.
Wow, 1/3.
Yeah, it's not aid or charity.
Right.
It's people investing in themselves and their communities.
It's like that grassroots economic engine we were talking about.
Precisely. And technology is making this even more powerful.
How so?
Well, services like World Remit are cutting out those expensive middlemen,
Okay.
making it cheaper and easier to send money.
So more money ends up where it's needed.
Exactly. And it can be used to build something new.
That's great. Are there other ways tech is changing things here?
Oh, tons. World Remit's even partnering with Kiva.
Kiva.
Yeah, they specialize in microloans
Right?
to funnel those remittances right to small businesses.
Wow, so it's like this direct pipeline of support.
Exactly. Connecting people with resources to those with the ideas,
Mm-hmm.
but who just need that little push.
I love it. It's a win-win for everyone.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's not just about new businesses, it's also about helping existing ones.
Okay.
You know, weathering those tough times,
Yeah.
creating jobs.
Right, creating that stability.
Yeah. You know, life can be unpredictable.
For sure.
And for families that are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Things like sudden illness, job loss, even a natural disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Those can be devastating.
Absolutely.
It's like walking a tightrope with no safety net.
Right.
But remittances can provide that net.
Okay.
They offer income stability,
Mm-hmm.
helping families cover those unexpected costs
Right.
and avoid falling deeper into debt.
I see.
There's this powerful story from Somalia.
Oh, okay.
The Mercy Corps, a humanitarian organization,
Mhm.
launched a program.
Okay.
They worked with the Somali diaspora to send mobile money transfers to families facing famine.
Wow. So they were literally using mobile money to prevent starvation.
Yeah, they were. And it wasn't just immediate relief.
Okay.
It also helped to stimulate the local economy.
That's incredible.
It's a reminder that this isn't just about numbers.
Right.
It's about real lives being changed.
Absolutely.
And this brings us to another aspect that's often overlooked.
Okay.
How remittances can empower women,
Mm-hmm.
particularly when it comes to financial inclusion.
Right. Because in so many countries,
Yeah,
women face huge barriers to accessing financial services,
totally.
getting loans, even controlling their own finances.
It's a huge problem.
It is.
Yeah.
And is that where remittances can help?
Well, research shows that women actually benefit even more from remittances than men.
Really?
It's not just the money.
Oh,
It's about having control,
gotcha.
making decisions that impact their lives and their families.
Right. Having agency.
Exactly. And tech plays a big role here, too.
How
Services like TerraPay are making it possible to send money directly to women's mobile wallets.
Wow. So it goes straight to them.
Yeah, or to their savings accounts.
That's amazing. So you're cutting out the middlemen
Yeah.
and putting women in control of their own finances.
It's a game changer,
Yeah.
not just for the women,
Right.
but for their communities, too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When women have access to resources,
Mhm.
they invest in their families, in education,
Sure.
healthcare, their businesses.
Right.
It's huge.
Okay, so we've seen how remittances can be this incredible force for good, opening up banking, supporting businesses,
Yeah.
creating stability for families, empowering women.
That's a lot.
It is. But is there a downside?
You mean,
Yeah, I mean, it can't all be perfect, right?
you're right to ask that. There are definitely hurdles to overcome.
Okay.
In fact, Kelroy James spends a lot of time in his piece outlining these challenges.
Well, let's hear them. What are the big roadblocks we need to address?
Well, one of the biggest is the cost of sending money across borders.
Okay. Sure.
Even though fees have come down,
Mm-hmm.
there's still a major barrier, especially for those sending smaller amounts.
So the people who can least afford it end up paying the most.
It is. It undermines the whole point of using remittances to help people.
Yeah.
James points out that the average fee for sending $200
Mm-hmm.
is still over 6%,
Wow.
which is way higher than the UN's target of 3%.
Okay, so bringing down those costs is crucial.
Absolutely.
What else is on the list?
Another one is simply access.
Oh, right.
In remote areas,
Yeah.
it can be incredibly difficult just to reach a place to send or receive money.
So even if the technology exists, if you can't get to it, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And even if you have access to the tech,
Mm-hmm.
there's the issue of digital literacy.
Right.
Not everyone knows how to use mobile money platforms or
Right.
online services.
It's like having a smartphone, but not knowing how to use it.
And then you've got those know your customer requirements meant to prevent money laundering.
Right.
Important, sure,
Mhm.
but they can be a barrier for those without official IDs.
So it's this balancing act between security and inclusion.
It is, and it's tough.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, yeah. There's the lack of interoperability between payment systems,
Okay, right?
and we still see a big gender gap with mobile money accounts.
Right.
Women are lagging behind.
So there's a lot to consider here.
It is a lot.
So what can we do about all of this?
Well, what does Kelroy James suggest?
Yeah, what does he say?
He offers a pretty comprehensive approach.
Okay.
We're talking tech advancements, partnerships,
Okay.
better user education, policy changes,
Mm-hmm.
using data to see what's working.
So a multi-pronged attack on all these roadblocks.
Exactly. On the tech side,
Yeah.
it's all about cheaper, more secure, and easier to use solutions
Okay.
like blockchain, mobile wallets, peer-to-peer payments.
Right. Using tech to benefit the people who need it most?
Totally. But tech alone isn't enough.
Right.
We need collaboration,
Okay.
bringing together remittance companies, banks,
Mm-hmm.
mobile networks, even governments.
Working together.
Exactly. And we can't forget about education,
Right.
making sure people understand how to use these tools,
Mm.
how to manage their finances and avoid scams.
Empowering people, not just giving them technology.
And then there's policy.
Oh.
James argues for streamlined KYC rules
Right.
and more competition in the market.
Yeah, that makes sense.
More competition usually means lower prices.
Right.
And finally, data.
Okay.
We need data to understand how remittances are being used,
Yeah.
what impact they're having.
Right. So we can make better decisions.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's complex, but there's a plan.
There is.
And it seems like the world is starting to take notice, right?
Absolutely. Remittances aren't a side issue anymore.
Okay.
They're a key to financial inclusion on a global scale.
And are there players stepping up to address this?
Totally. The G20, for instance, is
Mm.
focusing on lowering remittance cost.
Wow.
And the World Bank wants universal financial access by 2030.
So it's becoming a global priority.
It is, which is
It's
great.
encouraging.
And the UN Sustainable Development Goals include targets for this too.
Wow. So it's like a global movement.
It is.
That's pretty inspiring.
And there's an organization, the Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructures.
Okay.
They've been advocating for remittances for a while.
So it's not just talk, there's real action happening.
Definitely. And with these efforts,
Yeah.
it seems like we're moving towards making financial inclusion real.
I hope so.
It's exciting to be working in this field.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Welcome back to our deep dive, picking up where we left off.
Yeah, we were talking about the challenges and opportunities, right?
Exactly. Using remittances to promote financial inclusion.
We dug into some of those big roadblocks.
Yeah, like those high fees,
Mhm.
the lack of access in
Yep.
some places.
The digital literacy gap, too.
Of course, all those regulations.
Oh, we also talked about the potential, right?
We did the potential of technology,
Yeah.
collaboration, education to overcome all that.
It's really inspiring to see the world tackling this.
It is.
So what are some examples of, like, what people are doing to make a difference?
Let's look at some specifics. Remember the high cost of transfers,
Oh, yeah. A big barrier.
especially for folks sending smaller amounts.
Right. It's like the people who can least afford it get hit the hardest.
It's a problem, and it's why lowering those costs is so important.
Okay.
One promising solution is mobile money platforms.
They're changing things in so many countries already,
They are letting people send and receive money right on their phones.
even without a bank account.
Exactly. And since those platforms usually have lower operating costs,
Mm-hmm.
they can offer much lower fees.
So it's cheaper and more people can access it.
It is a real win-win.
Do you have any examples of mobile money in action?
Well, take Kenya. They have M-Pesa,
Okay.
which has been revolutionary.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Something like 70% of adults in Kenya use it.
70%. That's incredible.
It's part of daily life there.
Wow.
And it's made remittances much easier and cheaper for Kenyans abroad.
So they've kind of skipped over traditional banking entirely.
In a way, yes. It's a perfect example of technology bridging the gap.
I love that. What other cool tech is shaking things up?
Well, we can't forget about blockchain.
Ah, blockchain, of course.
It has huge potential for remittances.
Yeah, but what can it actually do for remittances?
It can make things faster,
Okay.
more secure, more transparent,
Right.
all while reducing costs.
Sounds good.
Some companies are already using it in places like the Philippines
Okay.
and Mexico with fees as low as 1%.
1%. That's amazing.
It is. It's still early days for blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
but the potential is there.
For sure.
And some are even using cryptocurrencies for remittances.
Oh, wow. Crypto. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, so cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin
Hmm.
offer this decentralized way to move money.
Okay.
This could be huge in countries with unstable currencies.
Right, where traditional banking might not be reliable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're already seeing it happen in Venezuela, for example.
Oh, right, with their hyperinflation.
Exactly. It's like a
Yeah.
parallel financial system.
Fascinating.
Of course, there are risks with crypto,
Uh-huh.
but it's definitely a disruptor.
It's something to watch for sure. So moving on, we talked about access, right?
Yeah, that's a big one, especially in remote areas.
What are people doing about that?
We're seeing some creative partnerships pop up.
Okay.
It's about thinking beyond those traditional locations
Mhm.
and finding new ways to reach people.
So bringing services to the people.
Exactly. Some organizations are working with local businesses,
Okay.
like small shops or pharmacies,
Interesting.
to become cash pickup points.
Turning everyday places into financial hubs. I love it.
And some are using mobile agents,
What's a mobile agent?
people who travel to villages to handle transactions.
It's like a traveling bank. That's amazing.
And in India, they have this banking correspondent model.
Oh, okay.
Local individuals become bank representatives,
Gotcha.
offering services in underserved areas.
Wow. So they're bringing financial inclusion to their own communities.
Exactly. They play a huge role in remittances, too.
Makes sense. It's about meeting people's needs directly.
That's the key.
Yeah.
And that brings us to digital literacy
Ah.
and financial education.
Right, because it's not enough to just have the tech.
Right, you need to know how to use it.
Exactly. It's like having a fancy tool but no idea how it works.
We need to empower people.
Mm-hmm.
And there are programs out there doing just that.
Really? What kind of programs?
They offer training on mobile money, budgeting, saving, even credit.
So building those essential financial skills.
It is.
Yeah.
And they tailor those programs to different groups.
Right, because everyone's needs are different.
Exactly.
Hmm.
There's this great program in Bangladesh, Grameen Phone's Easy Internet.
Okay.
They teach women in rural areas how to use the internet.
Wow. That's incredible. Opening up a whole new world.
And we can't forget basic financial literacy either.
Right, like budgeting and saving.
Exactly.
Eek.
Teaching people to borrow and invest wisely.
It's giving people control over their financial future.
It is. And there's a global push for financial literacy now.
That's great.
So it's more than just tech. It's giving people knowledge and understanding.
Empowering them to make good decisions.
Exactly. We've seen some inspiring solutions in this part of our deep dive.
Yeah, reducing costs, expanding access, promoting literacy.
It's amazing what people are doing with remittances.
It really is. All right, welcome back to our final part.
We made it.
We did. So we've seen all these innovative solutions like mobile money, blockchain, those community initiatives.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff happening.
But now I kind of want to talk about the big picture stuff.
Okay, yeah.
What about governments and international organizations?
Right.
What's their role in all of this?
That's a big one.
Mm.
Because those local efforts, the tech advancements,
Yeah.
they can only go so far without the right policies.
It's like building a house on sand.
Exactly. You need a strong foundation.
So how are governments creating policies to support the remittance industry and make it work better?
Well, one area is regulatory reform.
Okay.
Remember those know your customer rules?
Oh, yeah, the KYC stuff.
They're important for security,
Right.
but they can be a real pain if you don't have ID or you're not used to all the procedures.
So how do you balance security and accessibility?
That's the challenge. And some countries are trying new things.
Like what?
Well, some are using tiered KYC systems
Oh, okay.
where the level of scrutiny depends on the risk.
So smaller remittances might have easier requirements.
Exactly. Makes it simpler for people.
I like that. What about those high fees?
Yeah, that's another area for policy.
Mm-hmm.
A big focus is on increasing competition.
Oh.
For a long time, it's been a few big companies dominating.
Less choice, higher prices. The classic problem.
Exactly. So, governments want to encourage new players to enter the market.
Makes sense. The more competition, the better for everyone.
Right, and we're seeing that happen.
Oh, really? Where?
In Mexico, for example, new regulations have opened things up
Okay.
for non-bank financial institutions to offer remittance services.
So more options, hopefully lower costs.
Exactly. It's proof that smart regulations can drive innovation.
Yeah, really level the playing field.
And it's not just about encouraging competition. It's also about protecting consumers.
Right, making sure they're not being taken advantage of.
People need to know how to use these services safely.
And understand their rights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where financial literacy comes in.
Okay, yeah.
Governments need to educate consumers, make sure the rules are clear,
Okay.
and that there are ways to resolve disputes.
So it's about transparency and accountability.
It is. And some countries are really taking this seriously.
Oh, yeah. Like who?
The Philippines has a whole government agency dedicated to this.
Wow, that's impressive.
They monitor the industry, run campaigns,
Okay.
even provide a platform for complaints.
So they're really advocating for consumers.
They are. And lastly, we can't forget about international cooperation.
Oh, right. This is a global issue.
It is. It needs global solutions.
No one country can solve this on its own.
And we're seeing more collaboration now
But
between governments, the UN, the World Bank, even the private sector.
So everyone's coming together to figure this out.
They are. They're sharing ideas,
Yeah,
developing policies that work across borders.
that's great. Any examples of this cooperation working?
Well, the G20 has that goal to reduce remittance costs to 5%.
Ambitious?
It is, but it shows they're serious.
It's us. It sounds like we're making progress.
I think so. We've learned a lot in this deep dive.
We have, from the challenges to the amazing innovations.
And the role of policy, which is so important.
It's been fascinating to see how remittances can have this huge impact.
Yeah, they can change lives, strengthen communities, drive economic growth.
And for me, the key takeaway is that financial inclusion is about more than just money.
Absolutely. It's about opportunity. It's about fairness.
It's about giving everyone a chance to succeed.
And remittances can be a powerful tool for that.
Well said. So that wraps up our deep dive into remittances and financial inclusion.
It's been a journey.
It has. Thanks to everyone for listening.
We'll see you next time.
Bye for now.